Welcome back to Extra Innings with yours truly, Bob. I hope, having watched the earlier edition of this series, that you went online and checked out 39games.com to find our baseball game, 39 Baseball. It's a game that I developed during COVID, and I spoke about it last time. And it's one that will put you back, set you back to a quieter, slower, simpler time. A board game with dice that reconstructs a fabulous baseball game, without a doubt. There are 198 possibilities from each roll of the dice. No balls and strikes, just at-bats. And we have found it to be a game that is liked as solitaire or playing with someone else, against someone else. So look at it and check it out for me. This is the second episode in this series, and I'm going to deal with my hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania. My mom and dad's early life as immigrants coming to this country during that great period of immigration brought them to Scranton, and they met at a dance that my mother's female club held at the Hotel Casey in Scranton. My mother had come down the steps and her heel got caught and she fell in a landing, and my father said, be careful, you might fall. And she thought he was terribly arrogant. He was called a greenhorn at that time. He was new to America, and he got the name Greenhorn because at Ellis Island they used a green megaphone to move people back and forth, and that's what they termed immigrants. My mother came in 1907 at 7 years old with her three sisters and her mother. That's a whole magnificent story of immigrating to a new country to be with her father, who had come earlier and sent money for them to come. She tells the story of Ellis Island, but when she left her grandfather, she waved to him and she knew she would never see him again. The courage of those people from Western Europe who came to build a new America is really, really something. I was born 8 months before the start of World War II and 10 days before the start of the 1941 World Series. And that year, the New York Yankees beat the Dodgers, and Joe DiMaggio was the MVP that year with 125 RBIs. Ted Williams of the Boston Red Sox was considered Player of the Year with a final batting average of .406. So I don't recall, obviously, I don't recall that series, but I have tracked it and I have looked at it. As you heard in the first episode of this Extra Innings, I started watching baseball in 1950. But prior to that, I was raised in the Italian neighborhood of West Scranton. We lived on Hyde Park Avenue, and it was a block away from the fire station. And I remember as a little boy, I would walk over there. I do remember this. And the firemen made me feel so welcome and so grown up. I remember the distinct smell of gasoline, leather, sweat, and Brasso, which was a canned fluid that polished the brass on the engine. They let me sit in the engine. I petted their Dalmatian dog, and it was a big deal for me. My father was an air raid warden during World War II, which meant he would be out at night and reporting any lights that were on, and he wore a white helmet, of course suit and tie, with his neighbor, and the two of them would patrol streets. They even put their cigarettes out for fear it would be seen from the sky. World War II was obviously a big, big deal. It was on the radio all the time, and my mother used to say, what are they going to report when the war is over? That's all they talk about.